Hey everybody, this is Jim Miller from the Discovery class at Flint Baptist Church. There's so many negative stories going around right now and so many negative things happening. I wanted to bring you a little message that's positive today. I just wanted to, it's basically a memory of mine, but it's something that, it's kind of a feel-good thing. So let me just tell you the story. I'm going to show you a picture of an old jug here. It's an old stoneware brown jug. My dad got this jug off the retail yard of the pottery in Athens, where my family was in the pottery business for more than 100 years over in Athens, Texas. He took this jug off the retail yard of the pottery in 1929. Let's see, he was born in 1916, so I guess he would have been about 13 years old at the time. He took a hammer and a nail and he made a hole in the jug so as to make a birdhouse that he could hang in a tree. And you don't ever think about your big old tough dad building a birdhouse so that birds could raise their young, but that's the kind of guy my dad was, and it helped me understand him a little bit better later on in life. Anyhow, he took the hammer and nail, made the hole, and then he hung it in a tree in the house where he lived, the house he grew up in, which was on England Street over in Athens, Texas. Now, he hung that up in the tree, and it was a birdhouse for many years. And it turns out I grew up in the same house he grew up in, that same house there on England Street. And by that time, the tree had gotten really big. It was an old red oak tree, and the birdhouse was hanging way up high, and the wire that he hung it around the limb with had long since, the limb had overcome the wire, and the wire was just sticking out of the wood there. But anyway, they started to tear that house down in 1979, I think it was, and they were going to bulldoze the trees. And so my dad went over there and he retrieved this old jug out of the tree before they bulldozed it, or maybe right after they bulldozed it, but I think before, so that he was sure that it didn't get broken. Anyway, he took it home with him then, and he put it in the garage, intending to hang it in another tree, but that just never happened, and it kind of lived in his garage for a long time there. And then he passed away in 1985, and I found the jug in the garage, and I knew the story of it because he'd told me about it. If you notice, all the little pock marks that you see and nicks that you see on it, well, those came from Jimmy's BB gun when I was about his age. When I had my first BB gun, there was that tempting targets way up there in that tree. So I put a few pock marks in it, but fortunately it's a stoneware jug, so it took them pretty well. And at some point in time, he, had a very polite conversation with me and asked me not to do that anymore, and of course I stopped. So anyway, I got the jug, and it lived in my garage for quite a long time. And last year, a couple years ago, Kay and I, or I think that might have even been a little longer than that, planted a tree here in the backyard. It's a maple tree, and I know the tree is a little bit too small to hang such a large jug in, but I hung the jug up there last year, hoping that maybe some birds would build a house in it, just for sentimental reasons. And sure enough, this year, you can see by the pictures, there's a little family of bluebirds that are building a nest there, and hopefully they'll be able to raise some young in there. And I'm sure somewhere my daddy's smiling down about that. So it just is a wonderful memory that I have of my dad and the home where I grew up, and the family business that was a part of my life from the time I was born until still, even though it's not still there. So anyway, I hope that's a positive story that maybe makes you feel a little better, brings a smile to your face, when there's not a whole lot to smile about right now, at least as it pertains to our current world and situation. And I want to remind you that, recently I substitute taught the class, and we talked about Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10 through 20. And I wanted to remind you of that, and maybe see if you wanted to go back and reread it. Pastor Sam discussed the same basic subject, but he was using Matthew 24 as his example. But either one you use, it just reaffirms to us that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, You know who our struggle's against, and Paul there in Ephesians gives you the ways to fight it, and the means to fight it. And just as a reminder, it might be uplifting for you to go back and just reread that little passage right there. So I hope you do, and I hope that brings a smile to your face also. So anyway, this is Jim, and for my wife Kay and me, we hope you are well. We hope you're staying safe, and so please be safe and stay healthy.